Ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, I want you to hear me loud and clear today. You were not born to live in limitation. You were born to live in transformation. But the first and most powerful transformation begins not with what you earn, not with who you marry, not with what you drive. It begins with how you love yourself. If you've been wondering why your relationships struggle, why your dreams feel distant, why you keep spinning in circles instead of soaring, it's because you've been trying to give the world something you haven't given yourself yet. Self-love is the foundation of elevation. And today we're going to rebuild that foundation brick by brick. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how the world treats you. It's not just a catchy phrase. It's a universal law that governs relationships, business, and personal development. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate, what you allow, and how you carry yourself. If you constantly downplay your worth, diminish your value, or dismiss your own needs, you give others permission to do the same. People mirror what they see you doing to yourself. Imagine walking into a room and seeing someone holding their head high, speaking with clarity, listening with purpose, and never apologizing for taking up space. That person commands respect without saying a word. Now imagine someone who constantly slouches, speaks negatively about themselves, and apologizes for every request they make. What message are they sending? They're training the world to overlook them. Self-respect is not arrogance, it's alignment. It says, this is who I am, and this is how I will be treated. Self-love is the foundation of self-respect. If you truly love yourself, you don't entertain disrespect because love knows what it deserves. You set boundaries not because you're cold, but because you're clear. You invest in your growth, your peace, your health, because you recognize that you're not optional. When you live like you matter, others treat you like you do. Think about this simple example. A woman starts a new job. She shows up early, dresses well, and communicates with confidence. When someone tries to talk over her in meetings, she politely but firmly holds her ground. She says, "Excuse me, I wasn't finished speaking." She doesn't raise her voice or demand respect. She demonstrates it. Her colleagues learn that she values herself. And over time, they begin to value her the same way. Now imagine if she had allowed interruptions, laughed it off, and said nothing. She would have trained others to see her voice as optional. You see, what you allow is what will continue. If you don't advocate for your time, people will waste it. If you don't demand respect, people will test your limits. But when you show up for yourself with dignity, others either rise to meet your standards or they remove themselves. Either way, you win. Transformation begins when you stop seeking validation and start setting standards. People don't treat you how you want to be treated. They treat you how you treat yourself. The mirror you hold up becomes the reflection they respond to. So if you want the world to honor you, you have to start by honoring yourself in every word, every thought, and every decision. Because self-love isn't just about feeling good, it's about creating a reality where you are seen, heard, and valued exactly as you are. True confidence doesn't come from compliments, achievements, or applause. It comes from self-love. When you love yourself deeply and unconditionally, you create a solid foundation that confidence can stand on no matter what's happening around you. Self-love means accepting your flaws, embracing your strengths, and knowing that your worth is not based on external validation. It's the inner power that tells you I am enough, even when no one else says it. Confidence that comes from self-love is rooted, not rented. It's not borrowed from someone else's opinion or tied to a temporary success. It's internal. You don't have to perform to earn it. You already own it. When you love yourself, you show up differently. You walk into rooms with presence, not arrogance. You speak with assurance, not ego. You don't shrink to fit someone's comfort zone, and you don't puff yourself up to look important. You just are. Think about how many people chase confidence through possessions, followers, promotions, or relationships. They think, once I get that car, that title, that partner, then I'll feel confident. But that's like building a mansion on sand. The moment any of those things are taken away, their confidence crumbles. Self-love builds on bedrock. It doesn't fluctuate with circumstances. When you truly love yourself, you stop looking for outside permission to feel worthy. You become your own source. Take a simple example. A man wants to start a business. He's passionate but insecure because he's never done it before. He reads books, watches videos, and listens to advice, but doubt still whispers, "Who do you think you are?" Then he makes a decision, not just to take action, but to believe in himself. He stops comparing himself to others. He stops waiting until he feels ready. He loves himself enough to say, "I may not know everything, but I'm enough to begin." That shift, loving himself enough to start, is what unlocks real confidence. From that place, he's not pretending to be fearless. He's grounded in self-trust. When you love yourself, you trust your own voice. You give yourself grace when you mess up. You don't let failure define you because you know failure is part of growth, not a reflection of your value. Self-love is the soil that confidence grows in. Without it, confidence is shallow. With it, confidence becomes unstoppable. The truth is, confidence isn't something you find. It's something you remember once you start loving yourself. You remember that you are valuable, that you have something to offer, that you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. And once you walk in that kind of confidence, the kind that's birthed from deep, radical self-love, the world begins to respond differently. Opportunities open up. People respect your presence. And most importantly, you respect yourself. Because the most powerful thing you can wear is not designer clothes, it's self-confidence rooted in self-love. Life is a mirror, and what you project into the world is what comes back to you. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. The energy, the mindset, the beliefs, the level of self-love you carry inside are constantly creating a frequency around you. That frequency draws people, experiences, and outcomes that match your inner state. This is why transformation starts from within, not from outside. If your internal world is full of insecurity, fear, or lack, you'll find yourself surrounded by relationships, opportunities, and circumstances that reflect those very things. But when your heart is full of self-respect, gratitude, and purpose, everything around you starts to shift to match that energy. Self-love isn't just about how you feel, it's about what you radiate. When you love yourself, you don't need to chase, you attract. You naturally set boundaries, speak with authenticity, and carry yourself with intention. That kind of presence creates magnetism. People want to work with you, build with you, connect with you, not because you're begging for attention, but because you're operating in alignment. You become a reflection of peace, confidence, and purpose. And people are drawn to that. Think of it like a tuning fork. If you strike a tuning fork at a certain frequency, it causes other objects nearby to vibrate at the same frequency. The same principle applies to your energy. When you walk around with a mindset of scarcity, you'll keep meeting people who reinforce that scarcity. But when you walk in abundant thinking, abundant speaking, abundant living, you begin attracting people and possibilities that align with that energy. Here's a simple, powerful example. A woman spends years in toxic relationships where she's not appreciated. She keeps wondering, why do I keep attracting the same type of person? Then one day she decides to stop blaming others and start healing herself. She goes inward, does the emotional work, and starts loving herself on a deeper level. She sets clear boundaries. She begins treating herself with the love she once expected from others. Months later, she meets someone completely different, kind, respectful, and emotionally mature. What changed? Her reflection changed. She began to attract from her healed identity, not her hurt one. You see, your life is always reflecting your internal patterns. That's not punishment, it's feedback. If you want to change what shows up in your life, you've got to change what's showing up in you. Don't focus on fixing the outside. Focus on upgrading the inside, the way you think, the way you speak, the way you treat yourself. These are the seeds that grow into your future reality. So if you're ready to attract more love, success, peace, or purpose, start by becoming the version of you who already has it. Reflect the energy you want to receive. The world doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are. And when who you are aligns with who you were born to be, everything you've been chasing starts chasing you. The idea that you attract what you reflect is not just philosophy, it's a principle that shows up in every area of life. You are like a mirror to the world, and what you carry on the inside ends up shaping what you experience on the outside. Your thoughts, your self-talk, your energy, and your beliefs are constantly sending out a signal. Whether you realize it or not, that signal tells people how to treat you, what kind of relationships to form with you, and what kind of opportunities gravitate toward you. It's not magic, it's alignment. If you walk around feeling unworthy, unsure, or resentful, the world responds accordingly. You might find yourself overlooked, disrespected, or stuck in patterns that reinforce your negative self-image. That's not because the world is unfair, it's because your inner world is reflecting lack. On the other hand, when you operate from love, gratitude, confidence, and clarity, you start to see those same things show up in your relationships, your business, and your day-to-day life. People feel that energy. They respond to it, even if they can't consciously explain it. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. If you want a life filled with love, peace, and purpose, you must become someone who reflects those qualities. That means you must cultivate self-love instead of seeking it, create peace instead of chasing it, and walk in purpose instead of waiting for someone to give it to you. The moment you stop chasing and start becoming, things begin to shift around you. Here's a quick but powerful example. A man keeps saying he wants to build a successful business, but deep down, he doesn't believe he's worthy of success. He doubts himself constantly, compares himself to others, and procrastinates out of fear. So what happens? His business never takes off. He meets clients who don't pay on time or don't respect his boundaries. His reflection, his inner fear and self-doubt is attracting people and situations that match that low frequency. But then something clicks. He decides to stop operating from fear and starts doing the work to build self-worth. He sets clear standards, works with excellence, and shows up with belief in his value. Slowly, his business begins to grow. Clients start showing up who respect his work and pay on time. Why? Because now he's reflecting confidence, and confidence attracts trust and opportunity. This principle is simple but life-changing. If you want better, be better. Not for others, but for yourself. Reflect what you desire. Radiate what you want to receive. You're not a victim of your environment. You're a magnet shaped by your internal environment. So choose to reflect strength, not fear. Abundance, not scarcity. Love, not desperation. Because once you shift your reflection, your reality has no choice but to follow. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are bridges that protect love, peace, and purpose. When you love yourself, you understand that your energy, your time, and your presence are valuable. Setting boundaries is how you communicate that value to others. It's not about being cold, distant, or selfish. It's about being clear, intentional, and loving, not just toward others, but toward yourself. Boundaries are the framework that allows relationships to grow in a healthy, respectful, and sustainable way. Many people believe that love means saying yes all the time, that being a good person means being available, accommodating, and agreeable. But real love, true, deep, self-honoring love, knows when to say no. Because every yes to someone else is a no to something else. If you're constantly saying yes to what drains you, you end up saying no to your dreams, your peace, and your purpose. Self-love is what gives you the courage to set boundaries, and boundaries are what protect that self-love from being depleted. You don't have boundaries, people will treat you however they want. Not because they're evil, but because you haven't shown them how to treat you. Boundaries are how you teach people where respect begins and disrespect ends. And when you do it with clarity and love, you don't push people away, you invite the right people to rise and meet your standards. Here's a simple but powerful example. A woman is always available for her friends. Every time they call, she picks up. Every time they need something, she drops everything to help. At first it feels good, she feels needed, but over time she starts to feel resentful, exhausted, and overlooked. Her kindness is taken for granted, and when she needs help, no one shows up. Why? Because she never set boundaries. She thought saying yes was loving, but it became enabling. One day, She decides to change. She starts saying, I can't talk right now, but I'm free tomorrow. Or, I'd love to help, but I have to take care of something important first. At first, some people get upset, but over time, her true friends adjust and respect her time. The quality of her relationships improves because she now shows up from a place of love, not obligation. Boundaries are not rejection. They are protection. Protection of your energy, your peace, your mental health, and your future. They don't destroy love. They define it. They help love grow in the right conditions. When you set a boundary, you're not pushing people away. You're inviting them into a relationship that is balanced, respectful, and real. You cannot love others from a place of burnout, resentment, or emotional debt. Boundaries give you space to breathe, to grow, to be your best self. And from that space, you can love more deeply, give more authentically, and live more freely. Boundaries are not the opposite of love. They are the highest form of it. Purpose is not something you find outside of yourself. It's something you unlock from within. And self-love is the key that opens that door. When you truly love yourself, you stop trying to prove your worth and start living from it. You no longer chase validation, recognition, or approval because you already know you matter. That inner knowing gives you the courage and clarity to walk boldly in your purpose. You're not distracted by people's opinions or paralyzed by fear of failure. Instead, you're driven by something deeper, a love for who you are, and a belief in what you're here to do. Self-love shifts your focus. When you don't love yourself, you spend energy trying to fit in, earn acceptance, or avoid rejection. But when you do love yourself, you start asking different questions. You stop wondering, what do people think of me? And start asking, what was I born to create? Who was I born to impact? That shift is the beginning of purpose. It's a spiritual ignition. You realize your life isn't just about survival, it's about significance. Loving yourself also helps you embrace your unique gifts. So many people miss their purpose because they're too busy comparing themselves to others. But self-love silences that noise. It says, I don't have to be like them, I just have to be fully me. And when you operate in your own lane, your impact multiplies. Purpose flows naturally when you stop doubting your design and start trusting it. You begin to understand that you were built exactly the way you need to be to fulfill your calling. Here's a great example. A man works a steady job but feels deeply unfulfilled. He has a hidden passion for mentoring young people, but he never pursues it because he doesn't believe he's good enough. He thinks, I'm not smart enough, successful enough, or important enough to make a difference. But then something changes. He starts doing the inner work. He begins to heal old wounds, forgive himself for past mistakes, and build a relationship with himself rooted in love. Slowly, his confidence grows. Not because his life is perfect, but because he starts seeing his own value. That shift fuels something powerful. He signs up to volunteer at a local youth center. One thing leads to another, and a few years later, he launches a mentorship program that transforms lives. What unlocked his purpose? Not a degree, not a title, self-love. When you love yourself, you show up differently. You speak up when you used to stay silent. You try when you used to hesitate. You lead when you used to follow. And most importantly, you believe when you used to doubt. That belief fuels action, that action creates momentum, and that momentum turns into purpose-driven impact. Self-love doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you become better. It gives you the emotional, mental, and spiritual fuel to pursue your calling without apology or hesitation. Because when you love yourself, you stop playing small, you stop hiding, you rise up, and so does your purpose. So today I challenge you, don't just change your habits, change your heart towards yourself. Speak to yourself with love, walk with honor, stand with pride, not ego, but essence. Because when you love yourself first, the world has no choice but to rise and meet you at your new level. Your transformation doesn't begin when the world sees your worth. It begins when you do. Love yourself first and watch how your life transforms.